Chinese rice paddy. A kindly farmer couple approached him and asked, "Do you need any help? Where is your home?" Hearing Chinese for the first time, the boy fainted with excitement. When he woke up again, he was taken to the embassy. Soon afterwards, agents took him back to his American home. The door was opened by an old man in his 60s. To his surprise, the man suddenly jumped up and called out for his father. The old man was confused. His son had been drowned 30 years ago. The boy was probably the wrong person, but the mother behind him recognized her son at once. Her son looked the same as he did 30 years ago. She had grown old. She threw her arms around her son and wept. The father stood by, still in disbelief. The mother brought in her son's toys. The son suddenly had a seizure. He was immediately taken to hospital for treatment. There, he meets his best friend. When he was a child, he promised to grow up together. They had grown up together, only he was still a child. The most incredible thing is that, when the doctor examined the boy, he couldn't hear his heartbeat. He tapped his stethoscope and the heartbeat was normal again. Everyone was wondering, is the boy human or not? Why had he come back from the dead? As everyone wondered, the boy disappeared. No one knows where he was going. At last, in a wooded area, father found him. The boy pulled a dirty cloth out of a hole in the tree, with a special forces toy wrapped inside. It was a birthday present from his father when he was a boy. Back at home, the boy became a huge eater. He ate 5 adult meals in one sitting. He is still not full. The mother deliberately ignores this strange impression, but the father was more worried. He tells the agent that this is not his son. It had been many days since the boy had returned. The mother had taken him out to play. To his surprise, all the parents were afraid of him. One by one, they called their children away.
Hey fellas, come on, let's go.
We gotta go.
But he was the only one left. The boy was a bit lost. Every day the father comes to the cemetery, where his son was buried 30 years ago. He wanted to open the coffin and get rid of the knot. He wanted to see if his son, who had been buried with his own hands, was still there. With his permission, the agent and the doctor slowly opened the coffin. The coffin was slowly opened. The sight of it, the two men were in a cold sweat. The boy's body was still lying inside, and he was wearing the same red sweatshirt. And who was this identical boy outside? It was so unscientific. By nightfall, the naughty children of the town shone their torches in the boy's window. They called him the ghost boy. They frightened the boy and made him scream. The father scolded the naughty children in anger. When he returned to his room, he also began to feel sorry for the boy. When the boy had gone to bed, he went into the basement and pulls out a dusty photo album. It contained the only memories he had left of his son. Closing the album, the old man broke down in tears. The next morning, the doctor checked the boy's body. During the examination, the boy's mother discovered that her son had hidden many bags of snacks under the mattress. Ever since his return, he had been eating nonstop and never slept. The mother was so worried that she didn't dare tell anyone. But she is afraid to tell anyone. She was afraid of losing her son again. Day by day, the family's life seemed to settle down. The parents brought the child to school with them. Although the teachers mistook them for the child's grandparents, they didn't think anything of it. That day, something else happens in the town. After the resurrection of the boy, another dead person has returned. His name is Keller. He died of a heart attack 13 years ago. This man is not an easy one. He's just come back to life and he's digging a hole in the woods. Is he digging a grave? Well, it turns out that 13 years ago, he robbed 2 money carriers. He buried the money in these woods. Unfortunately, he had a life to rob, but not a life to spend. He had just buried the money when he had a heart attack. When he died, his accomplice took the money for himself. So the resurrected Keller immediately found his accomplice's house. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He took out his hammer and sent his accomplice to hell. Then, using the same tactics as 13 years earlier, he robbed the money truck again. He wanted to leave the money to his daughter, but before she could get the money, he was arrested by the police first. In the cell, daughter, and he had a big fight. God gave him a miracle. Why didn't he treasure it? He had to ruin it with his own hands. After a falling out with his daughter, Keller was so distraught that he began to cough violently. While the agent was pouring him some water, Keller disappeared from the cell. The surveillance cameras didn't show any clues. It seems that the man who came back to life, he could disappear again at any time. Evening, in the church of the small town, there sat a woman dressed in red. The priest approached and saw that this person was actually his ex-girlfriend. The horrible thing is that 10 years earlier, she had committed suicide. Now she was the third person in the town to come back from the dead. The priest brought her to the grocery store. He simply bandaged the wound. Ex-girlfriend with affection. Yet 10 years have passed. She doesn't know that the priest is already married. After examining her, the doctor finished his examination and told her the shocking news. She was pregnant. It was her and the priest's child, but it had been conceived 10 years earlier. The news of the priest's birth soon spread through the town. Most people couldn't take it. Most people left the church. Some even kidnapped her, forcing her to admit she was evil. The police and the priest found the place. In the confusion, the thugs missed and killed her. This left the priest heartbroken. At this point in the police station, a strange man arrives. He asked the police what year it was, how the town had changed completely. Then he pointed to the computer and asks, "What is this?" In the bar, a big soldier walks in. He couldn't believe it, that the war was over, and how he somehow woke up back home. This night, the police station is busy. People were coming back to life all over the town. The number of people who have come back to life is up to 75. The return of more and more people, and it is attracting national attention. A top medical expert has been sent from above, although he has not yet found the cause of the return, but he analyzed the whole thing from the point of view of virus transmission. Then a major discovery was made by dividing the difference in latitude of the area where the returnee was at the time of his resurrection, divided by the number of years since his death, which equals exactly 0.38. On this same day, the agent was driving at night and saw a familiar figure. It was the priest's ex-girlfriend. She had come back to life once again. In the morgue, looking at her own corpse, a chill runs down the woman's back. The state feels that these returnees are a threat to society, so it sent in the army. In the name of registering names, they gathered all the returnees in the gymnasium. They were all destroyed, but the military didn't notice. The agents, sensing that something was wrong, they let some of the returnees out through the back door. The town, which has always been peaceful, is about to be in turmoil.